It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. From Fantha Tracks TV, this is Good Morning Tatooine!
Good morning, Tatooine. Welcome to the live stream for the Thursday night special as we review this week's episodes of Andor. Joining me to discuss everything Andor from FanthaTracks.com. You're just out of shot. There we go. Mr. Booker, how are you?
Bright suns, Brian. Bright suns.
Bright suns. Let's throw it over at the main camera screen. There we go. That's a lot better. Andor's finally here after a month's delay. It's dropped on Disney Plus. You were able to go to the UK premiere event on Tuesday, so you saw it a day earlier than the rest of us. Give us a rundown of that experience.
Claire and Mark and a couple of the friends went along. We met some of the other guys from the other groups and stuff, and we got to Leicester Square. And you walked in, they had all the stairs lit up with the Andor logos. The big screen at the top had the trailer running on it. There was actual paper posters up outside the cinema, which is a real rare thing for a TV series, but I don't think any collectors got those because by the time we left at the end, they were all gone. You went in, there was a couple of stormtroopers. I think they were 501st. I possibly think it was Gary Hales, the head of the British 501st in the armour. Photo shoot with the troopers. And then anybody who's media got a special invite to go and have a chat with the brand new droid B2 Emo.
And you got to see the first 3 episodes almost like a mini movie in effect.
Yes. Yeah, no opening crawl. I mean, I've watched the first episode half again. So the same as that, but no end credits to any of them. It was literally, right, first episode, it ends straight into the Andor logo for the next one. And yeah. And we had the producer, Ali Plum from BBC Radio and Radio 1 Extra, who does the movie reviews on YouTube and stuff, and BBC iPlayer. He was there and introduced it. B2 came out and said hello to all of the crowd. And then the producer, I think she was one of the exec producers, she came out and said, "Oh, thanks for all coming along. Hope you really enjoy the show." And then we had a little video from Cassian himself, which Mulcast has sent me, which I'll post up on Fantha fairly soon. Introducing it, literally the two of them were sat in a room and they just had to go, "Hello UK, hello, welcome to it," and da-da-da. But we got an exclusive intro from him, and B2 gave us an exclusive intro as well, which was rather funky. But it was the one real droid. There's only actually one of this droid, as far as I'm aware, in the entire world. So he is very well cared for and looked after. Unlike stuff like BB-8 and R2, there are plenty. As you have now watched the show, you'll realise how much tech and movement is in him. And it's not a one-man job getting him to be alive, shall we say. But he was just wonderful. And we got a photo shoot with him and had a little chat with him in a private little area for some of the media, which was kind of funky.
Yeah. And anyone wants to check out that content, you can see all the details at the bottom, scrolling across where to find us on social media. And you can check out that photos and videos, and we'll have some of that up on the show next week as well.
Yeah, I haven't put it all up yet. I'm putting a little bit at a time up on it.
Yeah. Andrew Fernside's in there. So more Stormtroopers in the premiere than in the first batch of episodes. That was actually one of the positive things I actually thought was step a little bit away from the Empire, have something else appear there. But as the series goes on, we're going to get to see more Imperials. That's for sure.
I know when they come in, but I can't say when, shall we say. But we know the season's going to time jump in story blocks. So,
yeah.
And I get why they gave us 3 episodes to start with, because the first episode I really enjoyed getting into it, but not too much happened. And I think if they'd have just given us that 1 episode to start with, you'd have lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
But at the 3 episode arc, it was great.
Kingdom of Weird there on YouTube saying that B2 Emo was one of the original designs for BB-8, which I didn't know. That's quite a nice factoid there.
Designed by British designer Jake Lunt Davis. I was chatting with him last night about it.
And all these guys, they're going to be getting back to work pretty much as this series finishes airing, because I believe it starts going back into production in November for season 2. And, and that'll mean we're probably going to see it on air not until 2024, I think. Painful, I know.
Yeah. But we've had a long wait for Mando season 3.
Yeah.
But have got Star Wars TV pretty much year round now.
It's kind of almost become the pattern, I think, on sort of the bigger TV shows that there's going to be like a 2 year wait between series.
Yeah.
And we're kind of getting used to it, I think, especially when it comes to the streamers, I think.
As long as the quality stays to a certain level, and I think Andor has an absolute amazing quality to it. It's, yeah. Real sets show up really well. I've loved what they've done with Mando and Kenobi on the Void and all the tech they've done with it. But I think they got a bit complacent with it and have used it too much.
Mm-hmm.
And Andor costs a lot more money. And you can see in the first 3 episodes, we only really visited 3 locations. Child by the Lake Town and the Scrapyard. Well, and not the Imperial, the security briefing planet, which was a couple of sets.
Yeah.
But they were all real sets, as far as I could tell. I don't know. The security briefing place could have been some void work, stagecraft, but looked better.
Yes. Yep. Definitely. You can't beat a real world location, I don't think. But I guess it kind of started off with Morlana 1, which I guess you're talking, that's probably the volume getting used
yes.
there.
Yeah.
As he walks into the difference, it was quite an interesting start with the flashing of lights, and then it kind of panned round. You kind of saw where you are. New planet for us, Morlana 1, corporate zone being run by a corporate security company, basically on behalf of the Empire, and Andor's gone there in search of his sister, who he thinks working in a brothel of all places, and gets himself in a little bit of bother with these 2 guys in the background there, who didn't take kindly to him.
Even though he didn't really say anything to them, it was more the mistress who annoyed them, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, beautiful looking venue. Inside, really nice design.
Yeah, I kind of dug it.
Yeah.
There was a little sort of connection, I guess, to Rogue One a little bit with the sort of lit up walkways you kind of walk through. It kind of reminded me of Jin on the Imperial base there. With the sort of enclosed kind of look.
No, I mean, you can see it's a bar, but it's very different to other Star Wars bars we've known. But didn't they call it the Pleasure District or something? The Leisure District.
Leisure District, yeah.
Leisure District.
A little bit Amsterdam.
Yeah, I've only ever been down that area once, and
I've only heard rumours.
I went with Jerry Bullock years ago because they'd never said, let's go down there. And me and Mark were like, okay.
That's what happens when you go on tours to get to Star Wars Celebration Europe and Germany, I guess.
Yes, I don't think Lucasfilm actually meant to send us that bit. We went to the Bioluminescence Museum, which was weird, kind of funky.
Cool.
But yeah. I mean, the planet design was lovely.
Yeah, there was I kind of loved the sets on it. I thought they were pretty innovative.
The ship landing pads out on the sticks into the water, I think, was really funky.
Yeah. But
yeah, we weren't there very long. Didn't need to be. Bit weird going to a brothel in a Star Wars film that's... I know I'm going to have parents coming in with kids going, oh, my kids really want to watch this. And I'm like, not overly appropriate in a few places. That and the swearing irked me a bit as a parent.
There was a few B-bombs, we'll call them, and a few shits, we can say shit, dropped in there.
I don't think they need to be in Star Wars. I think Star Wars has got enough curse words as it is, like Slimo, and there's umpteen of them. You could use those. I don't think that's actually needed in it.
It kind of felt like it was done to try and prove this is for the older audience. It was almost like a marker in the sand. It felt like a little bit. Didn't need to be there, but they've put it in there as a...
George always wrote Star Wars films for kids.
Yeah.
And everything Star Wars beforehand has been... Yes, Rogue One was a bit darker, but kids can still watch it. There's nothing overly offensive in it. It kind of, except they'll die at the end, but you don't see too much of actual death in it. They just, the sun lights up when the Death Star hits it, and that's it, and they're gone. But adding in curse words into this and the Red Light District, I don't think was actually necessary. We've had drug references before, maybe with Spice, or some death sticks and things like that.
Kind of felt it could have been done slightly more subtle for me. But as you mentioned, sort of Rogue One was a little bit darker, and
Yeah,
obviously when we first were introduced to Cassian, it was killed someone pretty much in cold blood. This time, accidentally killed one guy by shoving him over, and he cracked his head on the pavement.
headbutted him and knocked him over. Fair enough, bit of a fight.
Then the next guy just basically bullet to the head, done.
Yeah, yeah, cold, cold, cold.
Yeah. But I liked the kind of design of the city. It was kind of very. We kind of discussed this before the show. Very European in style, and it was kind of pathways, alleyways here and there.
Yeah.
Very much kind of. There's a lot of Scottish accents in this one. They kind of shoot some of the stuff in Scotland, and if you kind of look there, you've kind of got the Plainstones kind of effect that you're going to get in a lot of Scottish towns.
Yeah. And I like the design of the sets. I like the design of the towns. As I said to you earlier, I've said to a few people already that I really like this design of the sets, the towns, and all the rest of it. And it definitely shows it's been designed by Europeans. Because the towns in Andor so far, and in the original trilogy and the Mos Eisley sets and everything, they were built over time. And they weren't planned. They were built and added on as more people wanted to live them hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So there's nooks and crannies and alleyways and places to hide and places that you can place a camera and make it look full with not so many extras.
Yeah.
Whereas within Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Kenobi, you can see it's been designed by Americans on a grid reference, and the entire town has been planned in one go because the Americans are used to that. And I get why it's done that way, but it looks so much better designing towns in a European way because they're old and they've evolved very slowly, and people have chucked a lean-to on the back of it and added a new loo on the back or whatever, or an extra bedroom onto their house. And the whole towns are higgledy-piggledy all over the place. Yep. So when you shoot it with a handful of extras, and there were a lot of extras in costume in this show, and the volume of people made it look more real as a working mining town.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
And when they're doing the chases and they're having the battles and stuff, and even just when he's walking around town and being a dodgy geezer, it looks a lot better. It looks more Star Wars to me. It looks more realistic, rather than when we visited the Marshal in Mandalorian season 1? No, season 2, wasn't it?
Season 2, I think it was.
Season 2, first episode. His town was literally 3 buildings in a block on a row.
Yeah.
And then when the town comes together, there's a school. Like, where the hell was the school? Well, it's because they shot it all in the void. They didn't build all the sets. Even with Andor, that we know most of it is 1, maybe 2 streets. Because we saw a few spy shots beginning of last year for it.
Yeah. Little Marlow was a kind of kind of almost a village, small town in rural England.
Yeah. On a little lake just north of Maidenhead, off just the M4. I visited and walked around it the day before.
That kind of made me wonder if the village from Cassian when he was a kid, was that shot next to the lake at that same location or not?
Having been there, the trees and stuff didn't look right in topography.
Yeah.
Because the bit of the lake, I walked around 90% of the lake, and you couldn't walk around the last 10% because it was completely shut off by security and the way the foliage and stuff was. That there was very flat. So I reckon the stuff they shot with Kid Cass
next to Pinewood,
Black Park. Yeah. I reckon it's there. And I need to have a Google and check out the maps and stuff. But I now need to visit that location.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looked more realistic. The volume of people they had there, the real sets, the running around, and it you couldn't see any fake walls, even though it was all fake walls, but you couldn't see any fake screens in the back where they made it look, it goes further and stuff, and painted a matte painting. And there was none of that going on. And even though I know the way the set was, as walking around the outskirts of it, was just a set, none of the camera angles showed that. None of it gave it away, and it was a more realistic and a more true Star Wars. And it just looked fantastic. They brought back lots of creatures from the previous movies. So I'm pretty sure Artie was in it, our friend, who was Maz Kanata, and other characters, because she played the Fueler in episode 7 or 8 or 9, I think. A little creature with like an oil canister with her, or petrol can, gas can, or whatever. And that creature I spotted. Ian White, I saw in the credits, is back, and he played the big, massive creature with the robot arms from episode 7.
Okay, yeah.
Right? I can't remember the character's name. Huge monstery thing with
Yep.
robot dragging a sled in episode 7, and that creature outfit was in this. And I spotted a good few other ones. Loads of new droids, which I know, Brian, you love droids.
Well, speaking of droids,
Yeah.
we need to check this out. This next photo.
Yeah, that was you.
Made my day. That's how droids should be treated.
Yeah, weed on by dogs.
Yeah. So basically, Cassian fled Morlana 1, headed to Ferrix, which is basically where he lives. This is the town we've been speaking about. Enlists his friend Brasso and his adoptive mother, Marva's droid B2 Emo, to provide cover for him. And that's B2 Emo making his debut, getting peed on by a boar, basically, running wild in the town, which I just made my year.
Yeah, the whole cinema laughs completely at that. And I tell you what, watching it as an audience like that, as I did with Kenobi, luckily, Celebration watched the first 2 there with an audience of 7,000, I think it was there. Probably 1,000 or so at the screening, 800 to 1,000 maybe on Tuesday night, I think. I didn't really look behind me, was sat fairly further forward. But watching it on an IMAX with an audience is just such a good experience. I wish the whole series was put serially on at the cinema. I'd love to be able to go to the cinema and watch 2 episodes at a time.
Yeah.
Of a story like that, and do the whole series and launch 2 episodes a month.
I actually think that we're going to head that way in terms of cinema. We're doing Secret Cinema this weekend, Guardians of the Galaxy in London. They've just been bought today by an American company for $100 million. So that kind of, cinema's not going away. We've seen what's happening with Cineworld not going well. Secret Cinema doing great guns. Probably means they're going to enter the market in America. It's going to become a huge thing. And I can see streamers using cinema a lot more to promote shows as well. It's an extra revenue stream.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Smith just launched Clerks 3 last week, and he is touring that entire movie as he did with The Last Jay and Silent Bob and the cartoon movie he did. Yep. And he toured in America, and every night he's in a different cinema. You pay to see the film as you would normally, and Kevin does a Q&A afterwards. Yep. Sometimes him. The more experience you get out of stuff at those venues that are willing to do it is brilliant.
And I can see a lot more like a 12-episode series where you're wanting people to subscribe to your service.
Yeah.
If you can link 3 episodes together and put out a mini movie to launch it, why wouldn't you? Yeah. As a revenue stream and as a way to get people to come to your platform.
I mean, beforehand we were like, why are they putting 3 out at the same time? This makes no sense. And when you watch all 3 as a block together, which I spoke to a good few people who've already seen all 3, who've popped in the shop and stuff, and they're like, it's really good. But I get why. I think if we'd have just had episode 1 released on its own, you'd have lost a lot of people. Because it didn't really, the first episode was really lovely, but it didn't give you a lot.
Yeah.
No big chasing. There was no set scenes of things you should do in a Star Wars and a spaceship battle and the rest of it. It wasn't any of that. It was just setting the stage and building the characters.
Yeah.
And we built Cassian really well. We know far more about him than we did ever in Rogue One.
Yeah. Something that was kind of like a slow build across the opening 3 episodes was kind of the flashbacks of young Cassian, or Casa, as he was known, and his villagers speaking their own language. Obviously, don't know what they're saying. Effectively, a bunch of kids, and we kind of find out that their planet was kind of destroyed by an Imperial mining operation. Effectively, it was thought the whole population wiped out, but basically, there's some people survived, they're all young.
Yeah.
And as the first flashback kind of showed, there was a which I think was a separatist vessel crashed.
Oh, right.
But someone can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it was a separatist vessel, but they had it was referred to as Marva as being a Republic craft, which I don't know if that's going to be a plot point in future episodes or not, but that seemed kind of odd. Oh. Anyway, we're introduced to Casa and his people, and it was a slow build, and it kind of broke up the episodes a little, and I was glad they released the sort of 3 episodes together because it actually made it work. I think if it had been 1 episode weekly, it would have been a little bit frustrating as to what's going on here. It was because they used it as the ending of episode 1 as well, and it made it kind of odd, dull ending, which, I didn't enjoy.
There was no subtitles for his dialogue either.
No.
But you got what they meant.
Yeah.
And they were all carrying these stars around, and then they started using blow darts. I was like, blooming heck, that's a bit brutal. The only mistake I found in the entire story of Casa and all the rest of it is when his Harry Potter's auntie turns up, or the lady from Killing Eve, when she turns up with the bloke from EastEnders, and you've got clean B2, how did B2 get into that ship? Because the door, porthole, whatever you want to call it, that hole on the side of the ship with the corridor they go into, he can't fly up there unless we're going to see him fly. He may have booster jets like R2. I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely unanswered.
My head was like, how did he get in there then?
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody on the ship's dead. They're all dead, Dave.
Yeah, not good at all. Other character we were introduced was Cyril Karn, who's kind of like a deputy in the corporate sector. He's a bit of a job's worth.
Yes.
And I actually really enjoyed this scene. It kind of worked kind of really well. He was kind of trying to get put in his place, but he wasn't having it. A lot of fun. Quite liked the way this character was portrayed.
Yeah, I did. I thought the two of them, that whole scene was great. The young guy is a complete pillock. We're not meant to like him. He's a bit of a bumbling idiot, but he's a bit of an Arnold Rimmer, isn't he?
Yeah.
Everything by the book. And the old boy's just a bent old cop, isn't he, really?
Yeah.
Bit of a DCI Burnside. Yeah, I thought the scene with the two of them was great. The whole bit about him having his uniform tailored. It's like, really? Okay. And he is that by the book on it. That good characters. As long as they stick with the character traits, I'm fine with it. I'm sick and tired of shows coming out and then they create a character and then change the character halfway through.
Andrew calls it out there. He thinks he'd make a great Imperial officer. I think that might be where the story arc takes him.
I think quite possibly you might be true there, Brian.
Yeah. The other major character for the series introduced, Bix. Again, became very interesting. And this is what I really liked about the series, that every character they introduced actually had an element of story. There's a lot of speaking parts in this, but they all felt like they had substance. They all felt like they had a character behind them. It wasn't just throwaway lines. And she become basically a fixer for Cassian Andor, but at the same time, she's kind of got like this love relationship going on with one of her employees, Tim, who ends up betraying Andor and reporting him to the corporate sector people, basically because he thinks that she may be having a bit of an affair with Andor, I think.
A good plot point and well driven along, but as you say, the characters are well written, and because we've got it as a 12-episode season, there is space to move with these characters. There is space to give them a bit of exploration. Kenobi was over in 5 episodes or 6 episodes.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, and that was Tim for
Tim.
People keeping note.
Okay, Tim the Enchanter. Yeah. You've got
again. It's a Scottish term for a Celtic supporter. If you're into your football, is a term if they're going full on Scottish on this.
Fair. But I liked with Kenobi, I had Ice Cube's son, who I can't remember the name of, but they built nothing on him.
Yeah. Tim Nice Bit Dim, as Kingdom of Weird tells us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Remember that, Tim Nice Bit Dim, Harry Enfield. If you want to YouTube that one.
Yeah. YouTube Harry Enfield, Tim Nice Bit Dim. That's the posh people in England, but it's a piss take at that. Yeah, I like they built the characters, and the characters got a good bit more depth. Yep. We've got a lot more we've got room to explore characters in this, and I've no shame in enjoying characters being explored properly and building on them. When you read books and comics, you can explore them. When it's an hour and a half long 2-hour movie, you just chuck one screen, right, that's you're this next, and that's, you don't get any depth to it. Like Rose had a bit of depth to her with her sister in episode 8.
Yeah.
and she had a good bit of character building in there.
Yeah.
And Finn had a little bit, and Rey didn't have much of a character anyway in the first place because she was just left on her own, and that was it. Whereas this, we're getting to know a lot more about them, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Having read the comics for Star Wars for so many years and a lot of the books and bits, you end up learning more about the characters in those. Like, you learnt more about Snoke and Kylo Ren in the Kylo Ren comic you did in the entire trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So learning more about the characters in Cassian, I think, is good. Yes, it's not classic Star Wars. I don't think it's a very big departure from classic Star Wars as we know it, but I really like it.
Yeah. One of the ways, obviously, we spoke about the flashbacks. They've used to build up the character of Cassian is young actor Antonio Vina, playing Casa, the young Cassian. I thought he did well throughout as well.
Yeah.
Very difficult because he's not communicating in English. They've got their own language. It's not subtitled. It's just there for us not to understand it, but to see it through their sort of physical interactions. And I thought he had a good performance, and it really helped.
But I end
add some depth to Cassian.
The direction on the kids' scenes was fantastic, and the way they wrote it and the way the kids performed it was brilliant because you understood what they were doing.
Yeah.
Without dialogue, with dialogue you couldn't understand. With a foreign alien language that was beautifully written, sounded like a real language.
Yeah.
But you couldn't understand it, so the way they portrayed it and acted it was brilliant.
Yeah. We also had who else did we have? We had Fiona Shaw, who played Marva, Cassian's adoptive mother and owner of B2 Emo.
Mother or abductee?
Well, there you go.
I suppose, yeah, not abductee,
Yep.
abductor. Yeah, she just kind of drugged him and stole him.
Yeah, it was very odd.
Yes.
It wasn't as if he was in search of assistance of any way. It was very much, he's raiding this ship the same way we were raiding this ship, and I'll drug him and take him instead.
I'm amazed he didn't get a can of spray paint out and write his name on the wall in it. You know, he was smashing the place up.
Yeah.
So yeah, weird. I think do you reckon we're gonna get the flashbacks all the way through the season? Look at the end.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It kind of feels it's going to go the way of, don't know if you watched it, but Better Call Saul, where you've got this regular flashbacks.
No, I've not watched that.
And then eventually it pays off at some point. Worthwhile watching. Great show.
Yeah, once I've watched all the other hundreds of shows that keep coming out, can't keep up with it, dude.
Yeah, definitely. And the other big character in the episode was the corporate sector security guy whose name has just
vacated your head. But yeah,
head. Sergeant Linus Mosk, played by Alex Ferns.
Brilliant.
Yeah, loved him. EastEnders actor.
He is as well, is he?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in years.
Yeah, just brilliant from day one. That the first interaction here, where they kind of go nose to nose and tell each other how much they hate. Basically, they hate rebel type people that like their order. They like the imperialism.
Yeah.
Proper.
Really, really well. And his character was very stereotyped, very funny, and very well written and very well performed. I dug it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blowpipes was weird, wasn't it?
It was kind of.
We ever seen blow darts in Star Wars? Don't think so.
Kind of, again, it was a character we don't know her name, and she's dead now.
No.
Don't need to worry about it too much. But yeah, she was kind of seemed to be the de facto leader. Cassian's group. Very tribal in nature, and that was them kind of killing and boarding this crashed. I'm going to keep calling it a separatist ship. I'll learn to be otherwise because Marva called it Republican, but we'll wait and we'll find out.
Do you remember the Aussie TV show, The Tribe?
No.
Early 90s, I think it was a TV show called The Tribe about a bunch of kids who got stranded somewhere, and it reminded me a lot of that.
Okay.
It's good. It's good. The ship was a bit weird.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the design of the ship.
Some ship looks really good, and some ships didn't look very Star Wars, but we've had loads of different ships in Star Wars, so it all worked.
Yeah. And a later appearance in the 3 episodes than I thought. Stellan Skarsgård as Luthien Rail.
One.
Came in really late into the episodes, but had a huge impact. Um, Basically, he's the guy that Bix goes to sell all our tech that she's stealing and Andor's
Yeah.
stealing and passing it along. And he kind of comes in, cool as you like, uses the local bus system, get about. Um,
Literally on the National Express, wasn't he?
yeah,
Who was the old guy he was talking to? I recognise the actor, and we couldn't work out who he was. Does anybody know who the actor is? Because I've looked him up on IMDb yesterday and couldn't find his name on there.
yeah, I don't know who he is either.
No.
Kingdom of Weird asking a great question here. Was it a separatist prisoner breakout on a Republic ship? Could be. I don't know if it's even important, or whether it's just me being very anal. But maybe it's something we'll do. Ron Cook.
Ron Cook. What's he out of?
No idea. Don't know. But I love the fact that Luthien Rail, he just basically walked in, and it was played out in the quotes and in the series as well, about you can just, if you're one of them, one of these rebels, you can just walk in straight past these people, they don't notice you. Bold as brass, walk straight through the middle of town. There you go, he's from Hot Fuzz apparently.
Oh!
There you go.
Yeah, I recognise him. He was Parker in the Thunderbirds film. We thought he was.
There you go.
Yeah. But he's been in loads of stuff. He's been inside Number 9. He was in Life After Death. He was in The Kingsman. He was in The Salisbury Poisonings, which I watched.
Which is on Disney Plus as well.
He was the old maternity doctor in Chernobyl.
Okay.
Oh, his IMDb list is massive. He was in Mr. Selfridge. What do I recognise him? Yeah, I've seen quite a lot of these. Yeah, classic British actor. We knew who he was. He was in The Diary of Anne Frank in 2009. Have you watched that?
No.
No.
Back to something more important though, Matt. Luthien Rail, what do you think of him?
Skarsgård's character, brilliant.
Yeah.
Dug him. Really, really good. He knows what he wants. He's there on a mission, not to get the goods, but to get the person to join whatever it is he does. I'm pretty sure he's part of the rebellion.
Yeah. He also referred to Cassian's father, which I'm going to go and assume is his adoptive father, being murdered as well. So he seems to have some kind of history as well.
Yes.
And you start to wonder, because we're going to see Cassian's adoptive father, stroke abductor father,
Yeah.
in this series at some point. So I wonder if we're going to see flashbacks of them as well. And we did mention the flashbacks. There was them there to abduct Andor, and I think we're going to see more of these characters as well going forward.
Yeah.
The big scene from the 3 episodes, undoubtedly, the scene in the kind of the Warehouse 9, which we saw as part of the 10-minute Disney Plus special.
Why was all that metalwork hanging from the ceiling? I don't get why.
Yeah, it was weird.
Made a cool scene though.
Made a cool scene, didn't make any sense.
No. Nothing Industrial would ever hang all those heavy weights on the ceiling on little chains. But as a scene where they blow the whole room up, it was better than blowing a place up. It was. I don't get why it was the way it was, but it looked cool.
Yeah. Kingdom of Weird's asking who plays the adoptive father. It's Gary Beadle. It plays the adoptive father. And try to think what he's been in. Round the World in 80 Days was he was in. The last thing I can think of was in Grantchester as well.
Yeah, I recognise him from all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So that we're going to get more of. So that whole scene was a great piece, and it kind of disappointed me that they gave so much away in that 10-minute special, because it was such a figure point of the 3 episodes.
It was a big set piece scene, wasn't it? It was quite a big, special, not special effects.
EastEnders as well, another EastEnder. And the other part, which I thought was interesting, it played out in parallel to this, was Bix getting caught by the corporate sector people and tied up and beaten up a little bit.
Yeah,
And
nice. Who were they?
and Tim getting killed right in front of her as well. So it's interesting to see what is her depth of connection with Cassian Andor. It seemed to go pretty deep there. She was prepared to
Yeah.
go to quite some length to protect him.
What dirt has he got on her? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or are they all beneficial, making money out of each other kind of thing?
Yeah. But effectively, they abandoned the imperial sort of device that the Andor was trying to get to Stellan
Yeah,
Skarsgård's character, and they performed an elaborate ruse to escape, and escaped on a speeder bike,
yeah,
and
that looked really good.
left a very sad, um, um,
Yeah, I love the oil refinery set. I love the spaceship set. I love that they tied up his mates. Brasso's mates tied up the ship that the one lad went off to go and get air cover from.
yeah,
That was brilliant.
yeah,
As he pulled away, he's literally tied to the floor and smashes into the big crane or whatever it was.
yeah. If you can hear something in the background, it's the RAF planes taking off. It's not me adding special effects to the show. But yeah, it was great acting. I thought just the way he's kind of stood still right then, kind of in shock, didn't know what to do, and it's kind of making me think, guy in an office job, not been on the front before.
Never been on the front line, has he? No,
Yeah,
he's end pusher like that lad.
out of his depth, and
Oh yeah,
it's going to be interesting. Does he snap at this point in turn, which is a possibility? I think Andor is now his sworn enemy. I think.
yes, yeah.
And
It was a good hunt.
yeah, and then we kind of wrapped up the 3 episodes with little held hostage Andor, rescued hostage. Don't know. We're going to find out what way it plays out. On board with Marva, and I don't know if it's going to be his adoptive father. I don't know if that's who Clem Andor is. I don't think he was ever said in the 3 episodes.
All right. Well, on IMDb, his name is Clem Andor, so that's must where he got the name from. Who knows? Who knows? We'll find out. I'm sure it'll be revealed fairly soon to us.
So he's rescued away on their ship as the episode kind of ended, and that kind of not a anti-climax of an end, but maybe a quieter end. It wasn't like an action-packed finale. It was just, this story's going to progress. There wasn't cliffhangers to any of the episodes. I don't feel.
No, wasn't very formulaic at all.
No. And I kind of think that they spoke a lot about how they filmed it in 3 episode blocks. I wonder if that's how it's going to play out across this whole series. It's going to feel very blocky in that 3 sections, and maybe that's why the first 3 episodes work together.
I mean, Mandalorian became story of the week, didn't it? It became mission planet of the week.
Yeah.
The story of the week was a completely separate story. It all flowed together nicely, but it was, here's the story this week. Right, you can just... Mandalorian, you could probably watch most of it. As long as you've seen episode 1 and you meet Grogu, you could probably watch a good chunk of the rest of it out of order.
Yeah.
Or you could just dive in and watch your favourite episodes, whereas this, it is more a beautiful, long-form piece of storytelling. It's a book with chapters, but the chapters aren't so formulaic.
I get the feeling this is going to be rewatchable a lot.
Have you rewatched Mandalorian or Kenobi or Fett?
I've watched some of Mando again. I haven't watched any of Fett again, other than the Power Rangers episode. Just did I really see what I saw? Was it as bad as I thought? I actually watched it again to see if it wasn't as bad as I thought.
And I'll let you do that.
Yeah. Kenobi, I didn't find it rewatchable on the basis that it felt like it was just a love note to the prequels, and it didn't have much substance of great effects behind it.
No, because you knew where it went to anyway. I mean, you know where it's going to end up with Andor, but we don't know any of his story, and they're giving him a really good backstory.
Yeah, those guys watching Along Life. What were your thoughts in terms of the first 3 episodes of Andor? Is it a positive? Is it a negative? Is it a wait and see kind of thing? Matt, what are you thinking?
big positive for me. I really dug it. It's fresh. It's different. It's a bit like when we watched WandaVision on Disney Plus when that came out. It was a very fresh type of storytelling, and I don't think Andor's as fresh type of storytelling and as a brave type of storytelling, but it's really good. It's very well written.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Andrew's think it's positive as well. It reminded me a lot of the Brian Daley novels about Han from back in the early 80s.
Right.
Also, some of the X-Wing novels that kind of moved away from the X-Wings, where they kind of became their own kind of
Team.
little team, and they were up against the sort of Imperial intelligence. It kind of felt a little bit like that. So it kind of
Yeah.
had that familiarness to me as being really into my Star Wars literature. But I get for people that have really just watched film and TV, this was quite a depart from normal. So I think a lot of people confused, not sure what to think at this point. Kingdom of Weird, also, it's a positive for them. Just wish that the same aesthetic was applied to Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi. And I think they're going to learn. I think, the volume's great. It gives them lots of options, but it has to be treated as a tool, not a all-encompassing solution. I don't think you're going to get another TV show that just spends the entire episode trapped just in front of the volume and everything filmed in front of the volume. I think you're going to get a lot of mix of locations and use of the volume. And it's like, the Mando went out on location in California, and that was probably the episode where Boba Fett debuted. That was probably one of the better episodes for me.
Yeah, and I've been there. I've walked that hill path, and it's blooming horrible. I like, because we've covered a lot of it on Fantha last year and the year before, and we got sent a lot of information on places they filmed. I visited a lot of locations as well. We haven't posted half the coverage we got last year for filming locations of this TV show, but once the episodes have aired, I will then start posting coverage of where you and I and others of the team visited when they were filming or after they were filming. And it's nice they use real world locations, and it really shows. You can do it on the Void and all the rest of it, but the volume doesn't give you the richness.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They chose locations in the Mando and Kenobi that weren't very rich anyway. Kenobi did a couple of location visits. They went out to the Joshua trees and stuff, and they went to the place where there was in between two hills, and they built an electric gate, and you could have just walked around it. But yeah, they did build some real stuff. But Andor, from what you and I know of where they filmed in the UK, they spent the money. They went to a lot more real places. I'm pretty sure they were meant to film all over the world with Andor, and then COVID hit, and they rewrote it and filmed all in the UK, and found really, really, there's some stunning locations coming, aren't there?
Yeah, we've all seen in the trailer sort of the dam, which was filmed in Scotland. I visited that location, and it's kind of odd for me because it's almost like my back garden. You look out, you pass that kind of scenery every day, so it takes you a little bit out of it. So I'm gonna have to adjust when they go to the Highlands in Andor. I'm gonna have to adjust my mindset a little bit so I'm not drawn out from the program a little bit.
Yeah.
Wade Phillips here on the opposite side of the fence. He's first the episode didn't really do much for him. His least favorite Star Wars series so far, and that I can kind of get because it is a slow build, and the one sort of major action sequence, really the bulk of it were sort of given away in the 10-minute kind of preview.
Two action sequences, the end battle as well.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I get that opinion,
and again, he didn't find Cassian to be that interesting a character anyway, and that I think that's a fair shout. It's one of that very cold characters from Rogue One. Would really need to learn a lot more about him to start to like him to really get into this series, I think.
Most fans of our age and generation all say that Rogue One is the favourite of the new era films.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a film about Jin. It wasn't a film about K2. It wasn't a film about Chirrut Baze, it was a beautiful ensemble movie.
You can watch Rogue One, really enjoy it, and someone can say, who's your favourite character? And you're like, I don't know.
Chirrut and Baze were great fun, but they were brought in much later. If you listen to a podcast recently Mark did on our podcast network, with Gary Whitta. He explained that Gary never even created Chirrut and Blaze. They were brought in as characters much later on. And that story was very well written and fleshed out. So, yeah, I liked Cassian. I want to know more about him. He was one of the most interesting characters in Rogue One just before they went on the mission. And he said, right, Jen, I'll join you to go and get the plans.
Yep.
And him and his team of wet ops, lunkies, bad boys, you know, and he had that one scene at the beginning where he off the bloke. He had a bit of character to him, and I wanted to know more about it. I was amazed they never turned it into a comic. We had that one pathetic comic that came out of him and K2, which should have been a full series. So I want to explore more of him, and I like they're doing it with the time jumps over 2 seasons, and we'll get to know a lot more about it. Weird there's no Imperials or Stormtroopers in it. That's very weird for Star Wars.
Yeah. That's going to change as the series progresses, but I kind of enjoyed that aspect of it to start with. Just made it a little bit different to start with. Something a little bit felt a little bit more original and different, you know.
And there's no hero in it either, is there?
Say that again, sorry.
No hero in the show.
No.
Cassian's definitely not hero material.
No.
He becomes a hero at the end of Rogue One, kind of by default of, oh yeah, actually you did good there, but he's not. He's in it for his own good, I think, in the show so far.
Yeah.
He's literally just ploughing his way, making a buck where he can.
Yeah.
Or,
and we're going to have to now get used to getting one episode a week. We're not getting this Friday, are we? There's no episode this Friday.
Is it Fridays or Wednesdays out? I thought Wednesday was the new Friday on Disney+.
You could well be right. So we won't be getting anything until next Wednesday. So we'll be back probably next Thursday evening to go over episode 4, which those in the media who have seen the first 4 episodes as part of the Disney press pack are all raving about episode 4, so I think we should be optimistic about what's ahead of us.
And Newbold saw it like 2 months ago, didn't he? Before they were meant to bring it out, when they were originally bringing it out.
Yeah, so when it was originally scheduled for August, I think the press saw it early August so they can get all their August editions in line, and then everything kind of fell apart. I think it's been the right move because Lord of the Rings, Ring of Power, and House of the Dragon kind of stole the thunder a little bit, and they're now all in their flow, I think, and things have kind of settled down, and it gives Andor a little bit of steam to step up and take a little bit of that media.
Yeah, and She-Hulk. There's too much good TV for us.
Yeah.
Us cool nerds who've been nerdy since before it was cool, there's now just too much good TV for us. We don't have to suffice to watching any more reality TV or any more garbage. There's too much stuff that we like out there. And the quality, yes, it's been a bit up and down with the Star Wars stuff, and it varies, but we watch it all and soak it up and really enjoy it. But there's too much to keep up with.
Yeah, totally. Matt, thanks for joining this week, going over the first 3 episodes of Andor. Everyone in the comments, appreciate your thoughts on the show as well. It's going to take a while to adjust to this show, I think, and find its place. And we'll look forward to watching each episode each week and discussing it with you guys going forward.
I think even the Star Wars fans who don't enjoy it that much will stick it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Whether it finds a wider audience, I don't know. I hope it does. And I hope it carries on being as good as it is.
Yeah. So everyone, keep your eyes on fantatracks.com as we have coverage from the premiere on Tuesday in the UK to come online, and also we'll be covering the reaction and as the actors and creative pass comment as people react to the series that's come out. Big shout out to Tony Gilroy from me once for the spectacular death scene for K2SO in Rogue One, following it up with a droid getting peed on in the very first episode of Andor. He is now my hero. And
Thank you so much, Cameron.
Top guy. Can't wait to meet him. Just to end the show there, Zach Milne talks movies. Good start to the show so far. I love that they're shooting on location. Future of the Run storyline they've set up so far, he's really liking. Yep, couldn't agree more with that, I think. And more Star Wars on location. Back it up with volume when needed.
Yeah.
Definitely the way to go. More expensive, slower production process. They're not going to do it for every series. But for your tentpole series, Andor definitely should be definitely the way to go, I think.
Lots of pictures, lots of great stuff, beautifully made by the finest in the industry. the English. Yeah.
On that note, we'll call it a night. Thanks, Matt, for joining me. We'll see you guys all back next Thursday.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news each and every day on FanthaTracks.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and Pinterest at FanthaTracks. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow FanthaTracks TV to be alerted to new content and to be a part of our live show.